and everything paranormal. For more information, go to www.portaltalkradio.com. Now, Portal Paranormal Talk Radio brings you your hosts.
And welcome to Portal Paranormal Talk Radio. I'm your host, Tuesday Miles.
And I'm Angela Thomas.
Hi, Angela. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Tuesday Miles. How about you?
I'm doing great. I missed you. We didn't have a live show last week. We had a 4th of July weekend.
Yes, it was a lovely holiday, but I did miss the show with you.
Yes, I did miss the show, too. Did you have a nice holiday?
Absolutely. Nice July 4th, celebrating our independence.
Yes, and I hope everybody out there and our listeners all the way from the UK to the United States had a great 3-day holiday, too.
Yes, indeed.
They don't allow fireworks in California, and I can see why, because we are always on fire someplace.
Well, you know, I live in Missouri now, Tuesday, and I wish certainly that they would get rid of the fireworks and just leave it up to the professionals. You know, everyone go down and watch a firework display because, you know, many people get hurt every year on fireworks and such, and it's rather dangerous, I believe.
This is true, and you know, it's funny, which I think California does have it a little bit screwed up because they allow one city to have it, and then the neighboring city, they ban it from it, and, you know, I mean, it's because they have a couple more fire departments in one area than they do the other. The fact of it is California is so absolutely dry, you know, we barely have rain, and, you know, this is part of our worst fire seasons we have anymore, that we don't even have enough firemen to cover the amount of area that's burning. So, you know, we really need to rethink it and, you know, and decide that the fact is the only way to have fireworks here is in a control situation.
Yes, well, you know, the California fires have been on, you know, CNN and other national news, and I just heard Governor Schwarzenegger was asking the federal government for additional help today. So,
well, we need it, that's for sure. We're supposed to get some little bit of rain, but again, here comes the lightning that we're going to get with these summer showers a little bit, you know. And it's not that much. I don't know why it seems the clouds just pass us over. I mean, we love this beautiful California weather, you know. I mean, you can always guarantee to get up and have sunshine. But the fact of it is, it causes drought, and it causes a lot of things. They have drought restrictions now on our water, so, you know, that doesn't make it fun. We'd rather have some rain and have some, you know, our 4 seasons. And you know, on that note, too, Angela, you know, I noticed also, too, that when the humidity is up, that the ghost activity is up. The ghost
do you believe that's why all of the activity here lately?
Well, you know, you and I were talking about this the other day because you had said that the activity in your house increased, and last night, you know, I don't know, did we have a full moon last night? I really didn't check, but I have to say that my hallway was just having a party in it full of ghosts. You know, and I kept thinking, okay, and they were noisy ghosts last night. You know, I don't mind it so much. I can kind of get myself to go right to sleep, but when they start becoming noisy ghosts, you know, it's like anything else. You kind of want to keep sitting up looking to think, oh, my gosh, is there somebody breaking in the house? No, it's just ghosts, you know.
See, that's what you need to put on your door, so, you know, to keep the potential thieves away. If they know there's ghosts in your house, they won't even, you know, try anything.
Yeah, that's true, and it's Dixie living in paltalk.com, which is where we have a virtual auditorium with our live guests here, says that we have a half moon, so thank you for that, Dixie, on it. You know, Angela, can you give us, our listeners, our spots where they can tune in to us?
Absolutely. Well, if you are listening to the show, you may also wish to visit our website at portaltalkradio.com to learn more about today's guest, Richard Sennett. Now, Richard is a co-author of Shocking Psychic Solutions, the Lizzie Borden Case. Richard will be joining us at the first break of the show to share with you what he and his wife, psychic medium Debbie Sennett, discovered about the Lizzie Borden case. To learn more about today's guest, visit richardsennett.com or go to portaltalkradio.com for more information on today's case. You may also wish to join us in the virtual auditorium available on paltalk.com, simply go to the social issues category and onto the Paranormal Radio Network room. The show can be heard on AOL Radio, MSN Radio, Tricom, Live 365, BBS Radio, just to name a few. Portal is now available on UpSnap. You simply text PARA, P-A-R-A, 27627 to download to your cell phone or call 201-765-9737 to receive it on your car radio. You are listening to the show through UPRN 105.8 New Orleans through the Paranormal Radio Network.
Boy, that list is getting longer and longer and longer.
We'll just divide it up. We'll just divide it up.
No. We'll let you keep on doing that. You just do a mighty good job of doing all that stuff. It just flows with you on it.
I see.
Yeah. Also, too, we've got lots of questions for Richard Sennett. To me, Richard Sennett, and no pun, for me to say this, that he's the eldest of the paranormal investigators, but he's been around doing this stuff for a really long time. And, the fact of it is that you have, go back in history, we have quite a bit of others that have already discovered somewhat of, that there is a ghost. Have we gotten any further in really documenting and proving that ghosts do exist? Is it that the fact we add one more person onto the list that now believes, scientifically, is there more information out there that we have now that we can absolutely, without a doubt, prove that the existence of afterlife? There's a lot of questions that I have for Richard. I never really thought of Richard as a historian, but, really, though, Angela, he does do a lot of research on this stuff, and he's very good at it. So I guess we'll have to add that to his list as being actually a historian also.
Well, absolutely. A lot of people have taken on cases such as the Lizzie Borden case, but I found it very fascinating what he and Debbie Sennett came up with. This case is over 116 years of age, and in American pop culture, in folklore, this is at the very top of all cases. A lot of suspects and a lot of inner dynamics going on. So if you go to the PortalTalkRadio.com site and click on Richard Sennett's page, you'll see more information about the case and a lot of nice little links there to give you all the testimony of those on trial.
Absolutely on that. And then also too, Angela, we had, not to change the subject real quick, but I'm going to, we had Derek Acorah on a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yes.
And, after we had spoken with him and we invited him to actually out to America, he's just going to take us up on that.
Really?
I got an email and a phone call this morning from them at 6 o'clock this morning. I don't think they understood what American time is, but I did. And then, and then speaking with them, and so I'm in the process. He's asked to come out and do some work with me if I would love to do some work with him, and I like to, there's nothing I have any judgment with Derek, but I was talking with another person said that there had been a lot of negativity about Derek Acorah, and I thought, why? He was the nicest guy, talking with us. This is the thing. When people start giving you a bad rap, let's say that, for instance, you're doing a reading, and of course none of the information fits. Does that make you a lousy psychic medium? Here's the thing. Can we be accurate every single time that we're given information?
No. There are times that, psychics out there misinterpret the information because, many are clairaudient or they're receiving their messages in symbology. And there's a number of ways that psychic mediums get their information. And also, though, Tuesday I've seen time and time again, and watching other psychic mediums, not only my own work, but watching theirs. And when they are in session with someone, that person instantly forgets. Sometimes they even forget their own name or their parents' name. Yeah. And they'll say, no, nothing, no. And so, I don't worry about negativity out there about any particular psychic, especially one in the caliber of Derek Acorah.
Absolutely.
Simply because there's always going to be someone that wants to plant the seed of doubt.
Absolutely.
But you can't take a man that's been in 40-plus years of doing the work, 8 different television shows that have run season after season, and deny that the man is not talented.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So we know that Derek Acorah is the real thing. We know his work. It's well documented. And so congratulations on that. I would love to visit with the two of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to keep it at that. I'm going to keep the positive note on it. The fact of it is that I am, there's so much crap out there on the internet anyways about who's this and who's that, and basically, the fact of it is the intention of majority, let's give the majority of this, Angela, is to help others in any which way they can. So we're just going to keep the positive note on that. And I'm looking forward to actually having him out here, too. I think that would be a lot of fun. And
right.
Let's see. Also, too, I spoke with Dave Schrader. Now, Dave Schrader has his own radio show, Darkness at the Edge of Town.
Mm-hmm.
And his show's on Sunday nights. Now, he puts out events. He's having an event at the Waverly. Now, the Waverly is that sanitarium.
Ooh.
That, and Dave puts out some pretty good, pretty cool ghost hunting events. So check that out, see if you can attend. There's still some tickets left there for the event. You can go to www.darknessradio.com and find more information out on that. But there is some more tickets left for that, and it's really a fun event. So there's another event coming up in December at the Queen Mary, which has got a lot of the stars. All the stars, the ghost hunting stars, all show up.
And also the Stanley Hotel with Dave Schrader and Taps. And so if you go to the PortalTalkRadio.com site and click on the events page, you'll see a long list of events that include Darkness Radio.
There you go. Thank you. Very good on that. Yeah, let's see. What else is on that note on it? Gosh, Angela, it's just been a hectic couple weeks, actually, it seems to be. Summertime is, I think it really depletes our energy. The heat depletes our energy. We just want to be lazy, on it. It's just, it's nice to get out in the sunshine, but it depletes my energy. And, also, too, Angela, I have been going through the strangest dreaming. Usually I'll dream, if I'm lucky to remember, maybe once a week, and it's usually around 4:30 in the morning that I find myself getting into that dream state. But I will tell you that I have been dreaming non-stop. It seems like all night long, and, of course, they wake me up as soon as I'm done with one dream, and I remember all of it, so, of course, I try to write some of it down. I really don't feel like it because I'm groggy, but I do. But I have to say to you, I'm just wondering why the fact is that is my gift changing? Am I going into that dream state where I'm now getting a lot more messages in my dreams? I just find it really funny that all of a sudden I'm dreaming a lot.
Well, we all dream, Tuesday, but most people don't remember their dreams. And so perhaps that you've been dreaming all along and receiving messages all along, and then when you woke up, you simply did not recall, but now things are changing. So perhaps your abilities are changing, and your dreams are now a wide-open communicator.
That could be, but you know what? It seems to make me, it feels like I'm exhausted after dreaming all night long on it. So if any of you are out there experiencing dreams too, write to us, let me know what you experience in your dreams. So that way I can help compare my gifts on that and see where I'm going on that. If there's anybody else that's been going through the same thing, if you all of a sudden start dreaming a lot, you're not sure why, but
are you sure you're dreaming and it's not a visitation?
Well, it could be either one. It could be, I'm probably both on it, Angela, because the fact is that when I'm waking up, I'm remembering every single bit of the detail of the dream.
Nice.
So, but it's still in the same sense, kind of leaves me exhausted after I'm done. I thought, God, did I go to sleep? I'm more exhausted now. Woo!
Goodness gracious.
I must be flying all over the place, I tell you that.
Well, I know what you mean about, abilities changing. I know that my visions have changed quite a bit here recently. And I found it rather disturbing initially. And after speaking to you about it, I felt much, much better.
Oh, well, thanks. Thanks on that. On it, I didn't know. I think what we'll try to do, too, is to get a couple guests on the show in that teaching format, so that way we can get some teachers on. Not so much that we're holding a class, but the fact is that maybe on psychometry, which is the gift of your hands, where you're actually feeling the energy of an item in your hands, and get something on in regarding that, some teaching aspects for that. And I think that also too, we're going to change a little bit and not so much, we've been really hosting a lot of the psychics in the show and our ghost hunters, and so we're going to kind of stray off that and bring in some other type of guests here in the next couple months. I think we've got 2 months worth of it, and then after that I think we're going to change on some things, and we've got some excellent authors coming up too. Mm-hmm. So I like to have teaching shows too where we can really actually learn things that we don't already know.
I agree with you. We definitely need a dream interpretator, and but who's up next week is Rita Berkowitz.
Yeah, she does the spirit art too, doesn't she, Angela?
She certainly does. She has a website called thespiritartist.com. Well, naturally in research, I go and look at all of her work, and I click on one of the television shows that she has done. Absolutely amazing.
Wow.
These portraits are detailed.
Oh, no kidding.
Mm-hmm. Detailed.
Well, I know that she's the only second person I've ever heard of that's able to do that. Marty and Michael Perry also do that. And, and they actually have a new, you should go to it's www.spiritart.com. That's Michael and Marty's. They're now having a live show every Thursday, which you can interact with them. Michael's the one that is the medium. Well, they're both mediums, and Marty draws. But they're doing readings in this format, so you can visit with them and possibly be able to get read. Michael is just awesome.
Wow.
Boy, this guy is so detailed in everything that he does. You really want a good reading, boy, go to him. He is just absolutely awesome. So
wow.
Check
so
that
we'll
out.
have to put that up on the website so people can get a direct link.
We've got this big spirit chat too with Joanne Gerbert here on August the 4th.
Yes, so indeed. I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely, on that. And I've gotten a book from Steve Poshner. It was The Spiritual Delight and Delusions. And so how to really actually know the difference between being spiritual and being delusional about it. So, and it's
don't
kind
you need a psychiatrist for that, Tuesday?
Yeah, I think so. But and again, mentioning Nadine LaLynch, who is going to talk about her being a contactee for almost all of her life, and so this is our first really UFO person that we're having on. So I hope that we do give her as much respect as possible as we can. And we're having our station manager on in September. We're going to have to really give it to him.
Absolutely, we will too.
Yes, we are absolutely having him on.
Well, I'm really looking forward to having Joe Montaldo on the show, because Joe Montaldo is not only the station manager, but he's also an expert in ufology.
He just thinks he knows just about everything. He just does.
Because he does.
He does, yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah, really though, Joe does. And I always say to people, when I'm talking about ufology, you really want to know, and I always say the truth, but the fact is that, he's got his opinion. It is his opinion, but, it's so simple. The fact of it is that, he's been doing this for a long time, and he knows his stuff. So I trust Joe and his opinions. I really do on it.
Well, Nadine LaLynch is really publishing the book called Alien Experiences, and, it's a highly anticipated book.
It really is, and she goes into such detail about her experiences, and you think, oh, my God, if that happened to me, what am I going to do? What would I do? That's just, I don't know, Angela. We think that people can't survive through some of the stuff that we've gone through, and thank God that we have been survivors. I'm going to call some of us survivors, because the fact is, some of it is so traumatizing that, it's almost unbearable and unlivable.
Well, it's very difficult to fathom what a UFO contactee, or even those that have been abducted and taken to other dimensions. It's hard to fathom what they have gone through. And I know years ago, in 1974, in Pascagoula, Mississippi, of all places, 2 men were abducted, and later in years, because I did live nearby that area, later in years, one naturally was still in an insane asylum. And so very, very difficult. A lot of people may hear this in the news Tuesday, but they really don't follow up with those individuals that are in the news, because they do have a hard time with it. Imagine what it would be like to suddenly go from the world that you know it today to suddenly having aliens?
I don't want to think about that. That would scare the holy schmolies out of me. It has scared the holy schmolies out of me. Yeah. It really has. You know, and the thing is too, you know, what I've been taught, the fact is that not all of them are bad. The fact of it is that some of them can be quite good, and you know, and they're due respect also too. I mean, the fact is that who knows how long they've been here? A lot longer maybe than we have. You know, maybe we're behind time, not them.
Well, I agree with you there.
You know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
You know, studying astronomy, it really opened my eyes to how large the universe really is, which is infinite. But when you start looking at the numbers and the physics of it all, it's just astounding. There's no way that those here on Earth are the only people living in the universe.
I mean, my God, what a wasted universe if that's the case. I mean, there should be more. And the fact that, you know, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, look at how huge. We'll never be able to see, you know, the beginning or the end of it. Absolutely not. And, you know, and how much space that we have. It's just unfortunate that Earth seems to be the only planet that's livable.
Well, you never know. In another galaxy, we might be able to discover and travel to it one day.
Yeah, somebody's asking in the virtual auditorium, how do you know if what you think is spirits isn't something else? Peanut M&Ms there, Dixie? Could be that. We don't know. I mean, you know, this is the thing is that what we, I got her to laugh at least. But, you know, really the fact of it is that I think with all of our experience and all of our knowledge and all that stuff, we kind of get used to actually identifying, you know, what it is. I know that with my experience over the years that I've learned to identify certain types of ghosts, certain dimensional beings. I know that my little vortex, Elizabeth, in my bathroom, it's real funny that, you know, she'll open up a portal that is on one dimension where I'm getting human spirits, and then she'll open a portal to another dimension where I'm getting kind of odd-looking spirits.
Ooh,
you know, and so, but the fact of it is that, you know, it's just something that I've studied and learned to compare as it happens. You know, and that's how I learn is because I keep track of it. I take documentation of it. And that's helped an awful lot because then I can go back to my notes and see exactly what date this is happening on, and look at, you know, and I write down every aspect, what the weather is, the timing of it, the moon stage, what my attitude is, what I'm feeling. Am I happy? Am I sad? Am I tired?
Very important.
You know, I really document it all. So this way it's easier for me to compare, you know, what's going on. And it's important, too, for anybody that's having any kind of ghost activity that you live in, you know, a place where you live in, document everything. It kind of makes it easier for you to lose the fear of it, too. So, anyways, on that note, we are going to go to break here in just a couple seconds, and when we return, we will have Richard Sennett with us. So everybody stay tuned. We'll be back in a few minutes, and you listen to Portal Paranormal Talk Radio.
You are listening to the Paranormal Radio Network.
One night, or one day, afternoon, he came home early, which was very rare for him, laid down in the parlor. She came in and screamed that he had been murdered. They called in the sister, and they went and they got the doctor who lived nearby, his wife. They all came over, and he'd been bludgeoned with an axe, like 11 times in the head.
Oh,
in fact,
a lot of times.
Yeah, it was way overkill. I mean, the first blow killed him, but it was just bam, bam, bam. And then he went to find his wife, the stepmother. They went upstairs and found that she, too, had been killed in the same way.
With the axe, right?
With an axe. Oh. And not only that, she'd been killed 2 hours earlier. Now, because Andrew was hated by the community, he had many enemies, they kept their house constantly locked up. Very rare in the 1890s, anywhere. But they had the door always locked because he feared, being robbed or attacked or assaulted. Mm-hmm. So the door's locked. At home is the stepmother and the father and Lizzie and the servant. And, of course, these two people turned up dead. So the police started to wonder who did it. They immediately fell upon Lizzie and arrested her. She claimed to have not done it. And there was a big trial. And with the inherited wealth from her stingy father, she managed to hire a dream team, which included the former governor of Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I mean, really top-notch people. The trial went on, and by the way, it was the first trial that hit the newspapers and the wire service at that time. So the whole nation followed it. And at the end, she was found innocent. In fact, if they did that trial again, she'd still be found innocent. Because
why is that, Richard?
The police blew the investigation. They immediately thought she did it. For instance, there was no murder weapon. They found an axe, but it had no blood on it. In fact, it didn't fit the blows that were administered to the two victims. The blade was the wrong shape. So it didn't work. And plus, everyone knew she liked her father. Now, she didn't like her stepmother. Now, if she killed the stepmother, people might have convicted her. But they all knew she loved her father. Why would she kill him? And he seemed to love her. So it didn't make sense. Not only that, Lizzie is a Sunday school teacher. She's going out to the community. She's working in charitable church organizations, feeding the disadvantaged and helping people who many times are victims of her own father's cruelty. He would evict people. He was a slumlord, as well as many other things. So what was going on here? Now, the reason that everyone knew her and knew her nature was why she got off. But the community judged her, and they all accused her of doing the crime, and she was shunned by the community from that point on, and led a kind of miserable life toward the end, devoting her money and attentions to saving animals, pets, cats, and dogs, and such.
Well, Richard, now, I have read a bit on the Lizzie Borden case, and I went to, of course, the Internet, and LizzieAndrewBorden.com was one which had a lot of the testimony of Lizzie Borden and others that were suspects. I didn't realize that there were so many suspects that initially was, called out or called into the courtroom. Is there any evidence that somebody, did they ever find the true killer? I know at one time the sister was a suspect. Mm-hmm. What did you all discover?
I say the butler did it.
Well, they didn't have a butler, but the servant girl, Bridget, was suspected. She was the other person in the house. But the uncle, Morris, was also suspected. But he had an airtight alibi. Unfortunately, he had too good of an alibi. It was almost like he was looking for an alibi. He was on the omnibus, kind of a horse-powered bus. He got the name of the conductor. He made sure that he talked to him and even asked him the time and took the number down from his badge. I mean, that sounds like overkill, like he was deliberately making an alibi. And then the sister, who was visiting another town, she gets a telegram that her father and the stepmother had been killed, but she doesn't take the train back home. She was 11 miles away. In fact, she doesn't take the first train. She misses the second train. She misses the third train, but doesn't come back till that evening on the fourth train out of Fairhaven. So there's a lot of suspicion about the way these people acted that just didn't make sense.
Well, do you think that Lizzie and the sister was Emma? Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the sisters knew or had arranged the murders?
Oh, yeah, very much. And that's what our psychic detective work found out.
That's what I was going to ask you about that.
See,
First of all, has Debbie picked up anything, or has Lizzie actually appeared to either one of you?
She appeared to Debbie. I'm not a psychic. She is.
Oh, Richard. I mean, okay, that's to be debatable. But go ahead.
What we think happened, and we pieced this together through a series of seances and sessions, that what occurred is Lizzie didn't do the crime, but she knew all about it and she planned it. She was in it up to her eyeballs, but she just didn't wield the axe. And we think that the original target was the stepmother. And that made all the sense in the world because they both, Emma and Lizzie, hated the stepmother. She was in line to inherit all the money. So getting her out of the way would have been the best thing for the two sisters. So our theory is the plot revolved around killing the stepmother.
Okay.
Now, we have some evidence that Lizzie was thinking of poison, tried to buy poison.
Okay, Richard, let's stop you right there on poison because we have to go back. We have to go to break real quick, and we can come back and we'll continue right on that poison note on it. We're going to break. We'll be back in a few minutes. You're listening to Portal Paranormal Talk Radio. God, that's so much. There's just so much.
You are listening to the Paranormal Radio Network.
Welcome back to Portal Paranormal.
Oh, ready to go.
And welcome back to Portal Paranormal Talk Radio. I'm your host, Tuesday Miles.
And I'm Angela Thomas.
Angela, let's give out Richard's websites. He's got quite a few. Actually, I've got quite a few pulled up here. I don't know if they're all his official one, but Richard, is the Ghost Stalker your official website?
Yes, I have a new one I put up, which is easier to remember. It's Richard Sennett, one word, capital R, capital S, richardsennett.com.
There you go.
Because you had a whole, I mean, I was finding them all over the place from you. I've got one that says, let me see what it says. It's Richard Sennett's top 13 haunted places in California. This is on Haunted American Tours. Is that yours?
That's mine. I write for a lot of different people. And wouldn't you know it, they end up putting me on the Internet, so I'm easy to find. I'm all over the place.
You're really easy to find. I mean, we'll have to go over that, too. We'll go over the top 13 haunted places in Southern California. Well, we left off with talking about Lizzie and her being poisoned. Let's continue there from that. Do we remember where we were at?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
She tried to buy poison from a druggist who refused to sell it to her. Then the family got sick, but then Lizzie got sick, too, so it wasn't like targeted to anyone. Now, to make matters worse, this took place in August 1892, so there was no refrigeration. And the food they used to eat for, like, breakfast was usually the leftovers from the night before. Now, remember, Andrew was a real cheapskate. So so they think some bad mutton got everybody sick. And that may have started a chain reaction because Andrew never came home early. You could set your watch by this guy. But that day, he got sick at work and came home early. And I think he came home and saw something he shouldn't have seen. It's probably something he didn't suspect. But if he would have had time to put two and two together, he would have figured out who had killed his wife. And so, to silence him, he had to be killed. And I think that was an unintended target. And because Lizzie loved her father, he was not the target. When she found his body, she freaked out, and all their plans, all of her set ideas just went out the window. She just freaked. And that's
so Richard,
what happened.
You think Lizzie actually was involved then?
Oh, yeah. She was involved in the planning. She wasn't involved in the actual crime. And I think she wasn't the kind of person. She sort of lived in her own little fantasy world. So I think she could kind of plan things in the abstract, but actually doing them, I don't think so. So I don't think she was the one who actually set this up. I think she was just a party to it all.
So who do you think was the true killer?
Our theory, in fact, by the way, when Debbie first came up with it, I couldn't believe it. I thought, this is not right. It doesn't work. But then when I started to do the research, because that's what you have to do as a good investigator, do the research, it all seemed to make sense. There was a point in the day where everything fell apart, and that point was when she discovered the body of her father, hacked to death. So before that, everything seemed to go along smoothly, as if it was a well-planned ballet. Now, our theory is that the sister, Emma, and her, who, by the way, was the main beneficiaries of the deaths of both people, that the sister and her planned it. And again, the target was the stepmother, not the father. The guy was 71. Odds were he was going to die and leave everything to his daughters anyway. There was no need to kill him. But when he saw the sister coming downstairs when she was supposed to be in Fairhaven, and according to our theory, she had a bloody bag with her that contained the murder weapon. She made up some cock and bull story. He was too sick to even care about it. His stomach was greatly upset. He laid back on the couch, probably went to sleep, and didn't take much to do him in. And then, of course, she left and had her ways to get back to Fairhaven. Whereas Lizzie, who didn't expect this, came in, found her father, and again freaked. That's our theory. And we're not the only ones that come up with this theory, but I think we provide evidence and a timeline that others did not have, and I think it's the closest thing we can get to an actual solution.
So, Richard, let's go back to something you just said. You said that you believe that Emma was seen carrying a bag with the weapon in it. Isn't it rather difficult to get an axe in, let's say, a bag?
No. All you have to do is get the head of the axe in the bag, not the whole handle. Not only that, we believe that it wasn't really an axe.
What do you think it was?
A long-handled tomahawk. An Indian tomahawk. And because of the Indian Wars that were in New England, tomahawks were plentiful. Lots of them around. Almost every other house had one. So getting one would be easy. Sharpening it up, and it's a great killing tool, because if you use a tomahawk with a long handle, the blood won't spray on you. And that would account for why there wasn't a lot of blood spattering. And it's, again, designed to kill, and would do the job quite easily and quite readily, silently, and effectively.
let me remind the listeners a little bit of information on Lizzie so they know about, because we're getting quite a few questions about her. Lizzie Andrew Borden was born on July 19th, 1860 in Fall River, Massachusetts, U.S. of A. She died June 1st, 1927 at the age of 66 in Fall River, Massachusetts. Her burial place is Oak Grove Cemetery. She was an American. Her net worth was about $1 million in 1927, known for her murder trial defendant. Her parents were Andrew Jackson Borden, 1822 to 1892, Sarah Anthony Morse, 1823 to 1863, mother, Abby Durfee Gray, I believe it is, 1828 to 1892, stepmother. Relatives was Emma Borden, born 1851 to 1927, was her sister. Alice Esther Borden, born 1856 to 1858, only lived 2 years, and that was her other sister. And then there was John Morse, who was the uncle. So that just brings you up to date exactly what their ages were when they lived and died, and what the mother and father's name were, so you could keep up on that. Interesting stuff, Richard. I mean, the fact that you came up with the tomahawk, that's pretty cool.
Well, that's what cool. Debbie came up with in her trance state. We were going through these sessions with her to get that. She actually, it was almost like she was there. She would go back in time almost. And we had a number of items from the house which we were able to use in the psychometric experiment. And we've done other cases since Lizzie Borden. But we wrote that up, and that has been published. And I believe it's an interesting study. And not only that, when we did the publication, we also included the transcript from the actual murder trial. So that's included in the book, so you can read it and form your own opinion as to what happened. But having read our timeline and looking over the transcript, a lot of the things Lizzie says and others say start to make sense and start to reveal that there could be far more going on than what people thought back in 1892.
So, Shocking Psychic Solution, the Lizzie Borden case, your book, and, of course, Debbie's book. The link to Amazon is on the portaltalkradio.com for those listening to the show. Is there another website that we can purchase the book?
Yeah, because Amazon are out of it.
Try the Phantom Bookshop. Okay. The Phantom Bookshop is here in Ventura, and it's run by a friend of mine. And I'll sign them if you buy them through the Phantom Bookshop. And they get that as Phantom Singular at phantomsplural.com. So Phantom at
great. That would be wonderful to have Richard Sennett's autograph in the Shocking Psychic Solution, the Lizzie Borden case.
Richard, how important is it to do history on a case where there's been haunting that has been documented?
Oh, it's very important. In fact, I have found my background in history has helped me out a dozen times in my psychic research. As a matter of fact, my background in archaeology and history has served me very well. In fact, it's kind of funny. When I first started out doing investigation, there wasn't anyone I could turn to. There were no books out there. There was no how to hunt ghost books that you get all over the place now, and there's some good ones out there. So, what I used as a template, an archaeological dig. So I know how to do that. And I used the same methodology as an archaeologist to help me as a parapsychologist investigate a haunted site. And by the way, the depositions that you take as an archaeologist, the collection of artifacts and the evaluation and analysis all serve me very well. But history, I believe, is very, very important to the study.
And so if a person wants to start someplace to get the history, is it the best place to go is what, City Hall or City of Records or Hall of Records? Where do you start?
Hall of Records are good, but they're hard unless you have a specific question. I found the best places are historical societies.
Okay.
In fact, many times when you tell them, I'm investigating a haunted event at the house, many times the people will be grateful and they'll want to help you.
Oh, cool.
In fact, I've had no problems doing the research. Around here, they all know my ghostly proclivities. So there is some places where you may get resistance. Unfortunately, there's a great deal of prejudice, even in our own enlightened day, towards ghost hunting.
Yeah, because I know I've had trouble in my own area where my own house was, because a lot of it was all beet fields and such. And so to pinpoint right where I'm at, I mean, I've just had great difficulty in finding that exact pinpoint where I'm at.
It's incredibly hard.
The making of the history of what, the land is here. This house that was built, I know it can't be impossible that's the first house built here, but again, it could have been because there was streams that were underneath there, and in fact, where the land was traveled was because there was freshwater streams there at one point. But just to find the pinpoint, or the fact of it is going back in history to see if there was any massacres in this area, even with the Indians, because I know the Indians did travel from Mexico up through here, up through the Santa Bernardino Mountains and so forth, up through Cal State. I know that they have a lot of history there from that, but just to find exactly, really what happened, because I do find that once in a while I will get Indian women out by the curb, and they look like they're washing something, but you know what, Richard? They don't notice me. They have no clue that I'm even there. It's almost that repeated image of them.
Right, you're getting a time warp. You're looking back in the fabric of time. So they can't see you. You can see them. You're looking at something that was, as opposed to spirits or something like that. I think that's sort of almost like a bit of videotape, which has somehow been recorded in some fashion on that location.
And is it just because the energy has been left there? I mean, what is it? The tragedy? What causes the residual energy to stay there?
There could have been a tragedy. In fact, 9 times out of 10, it's tragic. It could be there was a Native American woman who perhaps suffered abuse, or perhaps lost a child, or perhaps had been raped by Anglo or Spaniard.
Right.
And that trauma she was working out as she was doing something mundane like washing her clothes.
Okay.
But that image, that emotional experience left an after image.
And so is it just, there really isn't, like we can't call that a haunting, we just call that residual because there's not really any energy connected to that, or is there energy connected to that? Is there harmful energy that could be connected to that, Richard?
Well, yes, these energies, especially if you are a sensitive. Now, a sensitive person will go into an environment, pick up the energies from the past, like in this case, a tragedy, and they'll all of a sudden become very depressed and say, oh, I feel horrible. It has nothing to do with them. They're just picking up emotional traces from the past. And that's what a lot of people get. They'll go into a house, they'll go into a site, and they won't know why. They'll just get this awful feeling. And they're picking up things that are not related to themselves, but to a past personality or from a past event.
Is there any way to help heal this energy that's left over from that, or?
Oh, yeah.
How would you do that, Richard?
Well, it depends on the energy and what it is. One would be the blessed. The rituals, I would use sage if it was Native American.
Okay.
I would try to tell them to go toward the light. I would try a Native American ritual if it was linked to Native Americans. If it wasn't Native Americans, that would not work. I investigated an old adobe built out here in California during the Spanish era.
Okay.
And they had a ghost of a man who had been had killed himself. He hung himself rather than lose his land, and his ghost was seen there. And so we had a Catholic priest come and bless the site and erect a statue to St. Michael and in his honor and make a shrine up to his memory of this Don Antonio. And after that, it all left. And in fact, the family's luck came back. The ranch began to prosper once again. The old adobe wasn't cold anymore. So it worked. But again, that was linked because of the Spanish ancestry of the original ghost and the Spanish Catholic ancestry of the new movers.
And so this helps for the residual energy also too, Richard?
Oh, yes, because you have to kind of like create something that blocks the loop. There's a little loop of energy that goes from the living and the dead, or whatever the image. And if you could break that loop, because they're drawing energy from the living to manifest themselves. If you could break that loop, they won't get the energy, and they will again. The images will stop.
Oh, okay.
But
so, Richard, do these type of rituals, do they always work, or are there spirits that just simply do not respond to anything?
They don't always work, but they're effective maybe 65, 75% of the time.
And so then we teach our clients or somebody who's experienced this how to live with it?
Like I had this one case, and it was a cemetery of all places. The people who worked at the cemetery said that they were haunted by a ghost of a fellow worker, an elderly man, who did the work in the back fireproof vault. Well, he had passed away, he was old, and they kept seeing his ghost. And they wanted me to help them get rid of his ghost. But the owners of the cemetery were born-again Christians. So I was not allowed to set foot on the property. So how do you do that? So they wanted my help, but the owner of the place, their boss, refused to let me come in. So you know what I told him to do? Go to the place where the man worked and erect a shrine. Put a big cross with flowers on it and a little sign, we are going to miss you, Tom, and put his obituary and pictures of him and flowers and candles, the whole bit. And so they did that. Now the owner came in and saw it. Said, "What's this?" He says, "Oh, we're honoring our dead co-worker. Such a wonderful man. We all miss him." Actually, they hated his guts because he was a real martinet. But evidently, he keeps trying to come to work. So it's believed that ghosts operate on a different time frequency that we do. And so just saying, you're dead won't work because he can't hear you. He's not on your time level. But an item like a stationary thing, in this case shrine, they put next to his desk, he was only seen one more time. That was going back to the vault where his desk was. And after that, he was never seen again. And after a month, they took the shrine down, and they had no more ghosts.
Huh.
So I felt that this proves something. One, I don't know. In this interesting case, I believe the ghost didn't know he was dead. And when he came and was trying to go to work, he came across this item, and it was enough to convince him, oh, I get it. Nobody's paying any attention to me because I'm dead. All right. Then he went on to wherever he's supposed to go.
That always just mind-boggles you, thinking, how do you not know you're not dead?
Oh, I know why. According to all the psychics, when you make the transition, it's so, in some instances, traumatic, especially in the case of an accident, that you tend to have amnesia. The mind forgets about it. So the actual transition is so traumatic, it's blanked out. And so as a consequence, you just all of a sudden find yourself hanging around without people even paying much attention to you. Now remember, you're not thinking logically because, well, you don't have a brain anymore. You're thinking emotionally, and so the emotion might be, oh, I want to go to work. I've got work to do. Or, oh, I really want to say goodbye. Or I think I need to go to church. Or something like that. So I tend to think that might be the reason why they tend to forget the event that caused them to cross over.
So living consciousness, for those listening, Richard, would you say that it is eternal, that it goes on and on?
I believe so. When I first got involved in ghost hunting, I thought ghosts or had some kind of scientific background. It had to be some leftover traumatic explanation, electromagnetic or something. But as I've gone through the years, I've talked to people, I've experienced things, I've become more spiritual. I've been pulled kind of kicking and screaming towards a more metaphysical view of these things. And at this point in my evolution, I now believe that we are eternal and there is a life after death. In fact, I believe ghosts are the best evidence that such things exist. And the grave isn't the end. We go on, and we're supposed to go on to the next level. And some of us are, well, maybe a little bit retarded, where we hold back a bit. And that's why we have ghosts on this level. Or many times they seem to, ghosts come back for a reason, to tell us something or help us out. And so I've been more, more spiritual as the years have progressed.
Let me ask this question, and I really haven't given much thought to this actually until the other day, and I thought, this is a good question for somebody. Let's, for instance, that we're cleansing a house, we've got a pesky ghost in there, and it's time to push it out, and we're, and the fact it is that we're, the team's successful in pushing it out. Where do you think that ghost goes? Does it go on to torment somebody else? I mean, does it show up in another state? I mean, the fact it is that the fact that there's another case that comes up with a different investigation, team that has the same exact characteristics as this one ghost was. Is it possible that it left this one place and went to another?
It's possible, but I don't think so. It's like the ghost I saw was when I was doing archaeology. I was at an old Catholic mission and saw a monk. And this late at night, I saw this guy. I thought it was one of the brothers because there's still monks there. And I was going to go out and talk to him. And I got up, and then all of a sudden, he just vanished in front of my eyes. And it was just amazing. But here's the question. Where did he go?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So my theory, and this, by the way, a lot of people have this theory, is ghosts can skip in time. So that ghost skipped in time. So he was crossing the courtyard, got halfway, and it was Thursday. He jumped into next Friday. Now, he may have done this accidentally or on purpose, or maybe just the way ghosts are. Now, I can't go with it because I can't skip in time. So, to me, he appeared to vanish. Now, if the ghost had turned around and looked at me, I would have appeared to vanish. Now, the courtyard stayed the same because it's essentially the same between Thursday and Friday. But to him, he's skipping in time.
Is that time travel?
Yeah, it's not really time travel as we know it. We don't even know what time is.
Okay.
So, and I think that's my theory, is that a lot of ghosts do that. Now, when you exorcise a ghost, I think it does one of several things. One, it may cleanse out emotional traces. Now, I believe, and by the way, a lot of parapsychologists believe this, including one of the greats, the classic parapsychologist was Nandor Fodor. You ever read his work?
Oh, say that name again, Richard.
Nandor, N-A-D-O-R, Fodor, F-O-D-O-R. He sounds like a hobbit, but he's really, I think, Czechoslovakian.
Okay.
But he was a psychologist who became a ghost hunter after having an experience. Well, his theory meant that a lot of the ghosts behave like multiple personalities. In fact, if you know any ghosts or have ever experienced them, they tend to not be like a complete person. They're a fragment of a person.
Right.
So if you contact them through mediumship or something, they always just want to talk about one thing. They don't actually just talk about their lives, but one little emotional trait. In a lot of ways, it's sort of like multiple personalities, the three faces of Eve. Now, it's believed when a person passes away that one of these fragments gets left behind. Now, their soul or what have you isn't there. It goes on to wherever you're supposed to go. But one little part of them gets left behind. And that part is what we pick up as a ghost. So that's one of the theories.
Now, that's the first time I've heard that theory, that a fragment of their soul or personality is left behind, but they go forward.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, it's logical. I mean, in fact, as you think about it, it really does a lot of sense in regard to that, and I've seen that. I just wanted to see the fact if it is the comparison, because I do notice that with, of course, and hopefully that other teams will do the documentation, not disclosing who their clients are, but to document what the characteristics of the haunting are, because in comparison, that the fact is that here is, let's say, over my next door neighbors, they're having this major haunting with this ghost. The ghost is gone. And then all of a sudden it pops up in another area with the same exact characteristics, and whether or not this ghost can travel from, from state to state. I've heard, and I don't know if this is your theory on it, Richard, though, a lot of people have said that where you die is where you stay and haunt, if that's where you choose to stay at. That, although the fact of it is, if that's the case, then how do ghosts, and let's say a ghost, somebody dies overseas, but yet their stomping grounds is over here where I'm at.
Okay, well, this is what I believe. My theory is that some ghosts remain where they die, especially if it's traumatic. Most ghosts don't. See, ghosts are just people who happen to be dead. Would you haunt some hospital where you really didn't know anybody or anything?
Oh no,
that's no. You'd be there. You may have died in that hospital, but why would you be there? You'd go where? Home, the place you enjoy. Or if you were a workaholic, you'd go to your business. Or if you were captain of a ship and you really enjoyed that, that's when your time was great, where would you go? Back to the ship. So I tend to think that people tend to haunt where they have a link. And also there could be an emotional trace, too. Like if you had unfinished business, you wanted something done. I really want to get this job accomplished, or I really want to do this or do that. So I tend to think that those are the haunted places, not cemeteries, not mortuaries, not the hospitals or nursing homes so much, but more than likely the places where people lived and loved.
That's so interesting that, here they could die, 10,000 miles away from where they were at and end up back where they were at. I mean, the connection of energy that I guess supposedly that they connect to or travel to. You got instant directions back to where you were at.
Right, and then, of course, remember, if they're traveling through time, that means they can also travel through space. So they could die like in Vietnam. A lot of soldiers have been seen right after they perished in the war back home or with their loved ones.
God, very cool information. Thanks, Richard. Angela, go ahead. I'm hogging the show here, Angela. Go ahead.
Well, Richard, just like, you brought up Vietnam and such, there were many accounts that the men that died in Vietnam were actually seen walking about in their hometown. Do you think that was their spirit walking around?
Oh, very much. And see, their last thoughts were probably before they passed out of this life, well, I wish I could go home, or I wish I could see Mother or my wife. And wouldn't you know it, people, there are all kinds of stories of World War II, Civil War, all the way back, as far as you want to go, of people at the point where they die, being seen or witnessed, sometimes by dozens of people back half a world away.
Amazing, amazing. Richard, let's turn a little bit to some of those celebrities that you have done historical research on and also investigated. You mentioned W.C. Fields. Can you tell us a little bit about that case?
Oh, yeah, that was a house he owned back in Long Beach. When he became very famous, he got him this beautiful house, and the owners called me up and said that his ghost haunted there. Well, I went down and investigated, and unfortunately, I believe it really was haunted. And all kinds of stuff did happen there, but it wasn't W.C. Fields. Now, this happened more times than not. In fact, I even named it. I call it the George Washington Syndrome. On the East Coast, there are all these inns and houses that are haunted by the ghost of George Washington.
Okay.
And so the father of our country probably haunts Mount Vernon, where he lived and enjoyed his retirement, and died. I don't think he'd be every little place. Now, say you want to own it again. And one night in 1775, George Washington spent one night there, before a battle. And then, years later, they find footsteps pacing in the hallway. Who do you think it is? Is it George Washington, or is it really the German stable boy Hans Gruber, who hung himself because he loved a girl who rejected him? Now,
right.
Who cares about Hans Gruber? No, it's George Washington. So the syndrome is the ghost is always linked to the most famous person to go into or own the site.
Richard did not.
Go ahead, Angela.
So what happened there was I found out that during World War II, W.C. Fields sold that house and bought another house. Now, he left. Now, it was a big house, so an entrepreneurial person, bought it and turned it into a brothel. Had all these ladies moving. Now, one thing I found, brothels are notoriously haunted. And, of course, the lifestyle is very
Well, you would
awful.
think that they're not dying in brothels, but they're having sex.
Well, a lot of times there are deaths linked to brothels, too. A lot of the lifestyle is very terrible. Many women kill themselves. It's very traumatic. So there's a lot of violence linked to it. Well, guess what? The ghosts that was there were linked to the 1940s brothel and not to the comedian, W.C. Fields. And then the fact that we got one account of a naked woman running down the hallway. That certainly does not account for W.C. Fields, even though he did have some wild parties. They weren't that wild.
And he was in Long Beach. That's what you're saying, Richard? He
had a house in Long Beach.
I wonder where. God, I got to find out where that house was. I'm in
And it was in the older section. It was a really nice place. It's like 2.5 stories tall. It's a big place. And it's not far from the base, the military, the naval base. And later on, he sold it. He got a place, I think, in San Fernando or Hollywood Hills.
Okay.
And moved over there. But it was owned by him for a few years. He didn't build it. He bought it. And then later on, he, as I say, moved out, and it became a brothel.
Okay. I'm going to have to research that.
Well, you're definitely correct, Richard, when you say brothels are some of the most haunted places, because in New Orleans, I actually had my own experience going back into the House of the Rising Sun, which was a notorious brothel back in the day. And I had no idea that I was actually in that place until I started going up the stairs. And, of course, I learned more later. So, the energy in that entire place was that of wild and that of death, and a lot of death. So you're correct when you say that.
A lot of the girls, once they got past their prime, would kill themselves. And many were, of course, violence between prostitutes. There'd be like rivals and such, and one would kill the other. And then, of course, sometimes unstable clients would kill their girls. And other times, they were forced to do abortions and things like that. All kinds of different, awful kind of tragic things would happen in brothels. And, of course, there would be knife fights, and men would kill themselves as well. In fact, a friend of mine did a study of brothels in Nevada. And some of those brothels go back to the 1880s, and they're still functioning. And all kinds of stories are still being told. In fact, I'll make a blanket statement. Every brothel is haunted. And I'll just make that as a blanket statement.
Wow, okay. Well, that's a good place. Now, in fact, I was just looking. It was along Ocean Boulevard that he had a home there, which is some very large houses of all. Now, I'll have to go back and check out some spots. So, Richard Sennett's Top 13 Haunted Places in Southern California, the Whaley House.
Oh, it is really haunted. It is actually recognized by the state of California as a haunted place, and it was used as a model for Disney's Haunted Mansion. It was also used as a model, the sighting of the ghost there was used in the movie The Uninvited. They actually based it on those real sightings. In fact, even Regis Philbin saw a ghost there.
Oh, you
so
did?
it's got to be real.
Oh,
so it really lives up to its reputation.
Yeah, we only got a couple minutes here, so let me go over these other ones. Mission San Juan Capistrano. Now, I've been there, and I can say that does have an eerie ring to it when I was there on it.
Yes.
The Amaro, Amarogosa Hotel?
Yes, that's out in the desert. Go to the place. And by the way, never go in the summertime. They don't have air conditioning. But it has at least 3 ghosts over there.
I never noticed that one. Hollywood Forever Cemetery. Well, we know that is. That's been...
Oh, yeah. Valentino, one of many haunts there.
Oh, the Glen Tavern Inn.
Oh, that. I've just completed an investigation over there, and it is just up the yazoo with ghosts. A man killed himself, was actually murdered in the place. There was a suicide. Some terrible tragedies took place there. There are ghost children, ghost women. There was a brothel as well at one point in its lurid history. So it's got everything going.
Okay, and let's go on to this one. Okay, that was number... let's see. Whoops, I got ahead of myself real quickly because we only got 1 minute here. Okay, Hollywood Forever. Okay, we got that. The Glen Tavern Inn. The Linois Adobe Calabasas.
Yes, that's an old 2-story adobe, which all kinds of ghostly things happen, mostly on the second floor. In fact, I found a pattern where second floors are more haunted than first for some reason. I don't know why. But the man was died under mysterious circumstances, and they see his body laying in the bed. Even there is a body there now, nor does anyone sleep there, but they see him there nonetheless.
The Stagecoach Inn?
Yes, that's that shouldn't be haunted because it burned to the ground, and what we have is a reconstruction. But the ghost continues to be seen there. Basque sheep herder was murdered there by cowboys. Cowboys and sheep men didn't get along.
Landmark 78 Ventura?
Yeah, that's an old church. That's a restaurant which has a ghost in the bathroom of a woman who...
the bathroom, again, the bathroom.
Yeah, she's in the bathroom, so most of the people who see her tend to be women. And she took her own life in that place at the turn of the century.
Olivia's Adobe, which is 4200 Olivia's Park Drive in Ventura.
Oh, it is one of the most haunted places in the West. I've seen ghosts there. In fact, last Halloween, I led a group through the place. All of us saw the ghost. In fact, what's weird is we did 4 tours. Each tour saw the ghost. That's over 100 people.
Wow.
Wow.
And that doesn't happen. I've been over there. Now, we did a tour the night before Halloween. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But then Halloween, it's almost like the ghost said, well, I guess it's Halloween. We ought to come out now. Everyone expects us. It was really amazing. I mean,
and that was the Landmark?
Landmark 78 restaurant, yes.
Yeah, Ventura. And what about the Big Yellow House?
Oh, that's in Summerland. Now, Summerland was founded by spiritualists, and they wanted to have a place for burned-out mediums. And as you know, Summerland is one of the 7 heavens closest to the earth. And so when you die, you go to Summerland. That's where the spirits go, according to classic spiritualism. Well, this lady who was a spiritualist, built a big house. It's now a restaurant that has 3 ghosts in it. And I have had things happen there. One of the most gnarly seances I ever conducted was held there. And it still sends shivers down my spine.
Richard, you're so brave to do that stuff.
It is challenging. Now, most of the time, nothing happens. But every once in a while, you come across something that's out there. We had this thing destroyed, a tape recorder. I mean, it flung off the table, ran into the wall, left a dent in the wall, and smashed into about 25 pieces.
Goodness gracious. So tell us a little bit about the is it Promesa mission?
La Purissima It's Spanish. It's one of the old Spanish adobes. Another really haunted site. I've seen ghosts there. People believe there's in this old restored mission, I believe there's at least 25 ghosts there. There was also the scene of a battle. The Native Americans rose up against the Spanish. You know what ticked them off? Taxes. Spanish raised their taxes. They didn't have peace with the church. They were okay being Catholics, but they just didn't like these taxes being raised on. They rose up, and immediately they captured the arsenal. They captured 2 cannons. You never think of Native Americans with cannons, do you?
Never.
And they hauled them up on top of the church, made adobe walls and surrounded. They fortified it like the Alamo.
Okay, and we got 2 minutes left, Richard. Let's get these last 2 on here. I didn't mean to stop you on this, but I just want to finish your list here.
Sure.
Creek Road, Oakview to Ojai.
Oh, it is very haunted. There are 12 different ghosts there, including a ghostly woman on a horse and a mysterious man called Charman. It's all burnt.
Oh, I like those ones. And the last, and forever our favorite too, the Queen Mary.
The Queen Mary. I can't say enough about it. It lives up to its reputation. The bow is haunted. The stern is haunted. Go there at 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's almost as if ghosts are natural. Oh, look, there's a ghost walking by. Oh, hi. I'm going there in December to be part of the Ghost Conference.
Yes.
That they're putting together.
And I should see you there. In fact, what I was saying to you earlier, what you didn't hear real quickly, is that Peter James always held you in the highest respect. He always talked fondly about you and your work.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun working together on the Queen Mary a couple of times. He's a wonderful man. He's sorely missed.
Yes, he sure is. Well, you know what? We've got to call it a night for this. It's gone so fast. And, Richard, thanks for coming on. I mean, I learned so much about everything. Amazingly enough, I mean, there's just not enough time to go over everything. Angela?
Richard, thank you again for being our guest tonight. Audience, for Richard's book called Shocking Psychic Solution, The Lizzie Borden Case, go to richardsinnett.com or to the portaltalkradio.com website. And you've been listening to the show through UPRN 105.8 New Orleans through the Paranormal Radio Network.
Absolutely. And www.richardsinnett.com. Richard, are you taking on any new cases?
Oh, yeah. I've got a couple. I've got an old Victorian house with a ghost woman in it, in the tower room of all places. I'm still out there and actively investigating. Our next big project is the psychic solution to Jack the Ripper.
Oh, God, that's going to be... You'll have to come back and share that with us, Richard.
Absolutely.
It may take another year or so to get all the data together for that one.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. Everybody have a great week ahead of you. Be good to each other and those around you, and God bless. And we will see you next Friday. Bye-bye.